Well, just before the break, we talked about the importance of taking a moment to find our center when times get stressful. Our next guest practices a philosophy called the Tao Te Ching. In her new book, Don't Just Sit There, Do Nothing, Jessie Kanzer applies this ancient wisdom to modern times while taking us along her own fascinating journey. How did you get into this? How did you end up reading the Tao Te Ching and applying it to your life and ultimately writing this book?
I came to America from the Soviet Union, which I know is, so timely with what's going on now. So I had my own refugee story at the time. I came at 8 years old. My family was running from the Soviet empire, so to speak, and we waited in different countries for asylum here. Obviously, what happens is a loss of identity. And it was post-Cold War America. It wasn't easy to come in, as a Russian only speaking child. Oh. And I kind of did everything I could after being made fun of, after not having an easy time. I did everything I could to fit in. In that process, I lost my identity. I changed my name. It was Asya. It became Jessie. I really molded myself to fit in, but losing my identity caught up with me as a teenager, and I ended up with an eating disorder and depression, anxiety. So interestingly, though, I got into a major car crash right after college.
Wow.
So I was, in essence, forced to get still. There really was no other choice. And from that stillness, I figured out step by step how to heal from the bulimia that I was suffering. Slowly, I discovered the Tao Te Ching because at that time, I was just voraciously buying every spiritual and self-help book. And the simplicity, the Tao Te Ching, it's this ancient philosophy from 6th century BC. It's just one little verse at a time. And somehow that simplicity was really helpful for me to find my way one step, one day, one meal at a time, which is what I did.
Throughout your book, you kind of weave verses from the Tao into anecdotes from your life. Do you have a favorite story?
The story that's been coming up a lot lately is the chapter called the Dao of Babushka. Babushka is Russian for grandmother. Mm-hmm. And it's this really difficult story of my own grandma's life that was very much shaped by the geopolitical forces that had nothing to do with her. Mm-hmm. She was a small child in Latvia when the Soviet forces came in, and then World War II started, and she had to, her whole family was sent to Stalin gulags in Siberia, and she had such a difficult life, and both on these major things that happened, like the Holocaust, like being sent to the Stalin camps, but also on a personal level. It was a really difficult life that she had. But my babushka is like a joyous, fun person who loves to voraciously read People magazine and is just very much alive. And she's 90 now, almost 90. So I call the chapter the Dao of Babushka, and I connect it to what the Tao teaches us, which is that we don't always have control, and I would say most of the time, of external circumstances. But what we can do is find our inner light, our center, our connection to the Tao, which translates as the way to spirit, to God, call it what you will. But when we're able to find that connection, we're able to practice acceptance and then find the joy anyway.
I love that.
That's a lovely story.
I love that. I may not have control, but I'm not helpless. I think that's such a key, important point. My last question to you is obviously very timely. Seeing what's happening in Ukraine, it's got to be a lot for you, very triggering. What is it like to watch this right now?
I had a section in the book speaking about Vladimir Zelensky. It's called My Zelensky, because I had been an actress throughout my 20s, an actress waitress, I should say, a struggling actress. But as an immigrant in America who spoke Russian, I got a chance to play a little part on a Russian movie that had major stars flown in. One of these stars was Vladimir Zelensky. It was his first big feature film. And I followed his story afterwards. And I was amazed by how he transcended a lot of limitations and became president of this nation in the hopes of making it better. So I have a really, outside of just watching and having these hard, broken reactions, like we all do, by the way, to what's going on, I also have this personal connection where I really worry for that person, for that individual himself. But I have to say that it's really hard in times like this to sometimes take time for ourselves, to focus on ourselves. And I want to reiterate the importance of doing this internal work that Don't Just Sit There, Do Nothing speaks of, because I really believe when you heal yourself, you heal the world. When you're able to find your light, you spread it little by little. And that's what I believe we're seeing right now. So while we're seeing the struggle and the heartbreak of these wonderful people, we're also seeing so many countries, so many humans coming together to do what they can. And that's where I try to focus on, and that's what keeps my hope alive.
Don't just sit there, do nothing. Thanks to Jessie for that.